Now, and it is a call for policymakers, healthcare providers, communities and individuals to take action to scale up prevention, testing and treatment services. Despite the massive burden of 400 million people living with chronic infections, viral hepatitis remains a little-known disease.
Cost of treating hepatitis B and C, I would like Honorable Minister to think to put these drugs in essential drug list. You provide free drugs for TB, for HIV. Look at this, madam. For HIV, 2.1 million people, you give India 1750 crore.
Is his engagement with the issue of hepatitis. May I invite Dr. Jayant Bhavre to tell us more about Mr. Bachchan's association with this issue, please.
And my dear friends, I thank WHO and Ministry of Health for bringing this occasion of Hepatitis Day to India. I think Indian subcontinents definitely deserve that because the burden of various forms of hepatitis is so big. I will not that. Only thing is hepatitis A and E are basically waterborne, can be prevented by good hygiene. Hepatitis B and C have got a different story to tell. And for that story, one should remember that these are blood-borne diseases, but they are also transmitted from mother to child from the close contacts, what can be called as a horizontal transmission. Awareness among health workers, awareness among mothers, awareness in the family about not discriminating is very important for prevention of that. We have been always talking about hepatitis B, and in this small room that we got here, we got hundreds of people here, but maybe there is a possibility for hepatitis B or C, and you are not even aware of that. WHO and Union Ministry is willing to lend its hand to treat this patient, as you have heard from my learned speakers earlier. The public at large is totally unaware of what is hepatitis B, what is hepatitis C. What you need is a gap which is to be filled up by somebody. You need someone who can go outside this room and can tell the people that, look, whether you got hepatitis A or E or B or C, something which is not only treatable but which is preventable. We thought that you need someone who has got great presence in Indian mind, or well-known national figure who can, and people respect him immensely. We couldn't think anything better than Mr. Amitabh Bachchan for this role. I have been lucky enough to be associated with him for certain reasons for a long time. I requested him, and Mr. Bachchan wholeheartedly said he will do whatever best is possible for prevention of hepatitis B. He doesn't need any introduction. Say that, Amit ji, please spare some time, give the time to hepatitis B campaign, convince the concerned ministries to put in the efforts and the money to sustain this campaign for a few years to come. Thank you so much.
Honorable Minister of State, Anupriya Patel ji, distinguished guests on the dais, distinguished guests in the audience, ladies and gentlemen, do pardon my voice. I am trying to overcome a viral infection of cold. I want to thank the organizers today for having invited me here today on this very auspicious occasion when we celebrate the 28th of July as Hepatitis Day. There have been many debates and discussions throughout the day, through various forums and through various speakers. The speakers before me, who are more qualified to talk about hepatitis, have given you many statistics, so it will be futile for me to dwell on them again. I'm here today, ladies and gentlemen, to merely reiterate to you that I am absolutely committed to the cause of hepatitis. And if my face and my voice can propagate what we need to do towards removal, or at least the detection of this terrible disease, I am there with all the agencies that are now committed to work towards this cause. How this all started has a small story which was hinted upon by Dr. Serene in his very emotional appeal here, when he talked about an example of a porter who was denied a job in the Middle East because of the fact that he was diagnosed with hepatitis B. I raised my finger not just to the fact that I happened to play the role of a porter in one of my films, but in 1982, ironically, for the same film, during the course of an action sequence, I injured myself, and there were many bottles of blood that were required for my recovery, including bottles of blood and platelets. It amounted to almost 60. And we had around 200 donors, and I thanked them for it, because had it not been for their contribution, I may not have been standing here in front of you today. But unfortunately, one of the donors was carrying the Australian antigen hepatitis B virus, which went into my system. From 1982 onwards, I recovered from the terrible accident, and I thank the doctors of Breach Candy Hospital for my recovery. But during the year 2000, and some years into it, through my family doctor, Dr. Barve, through a random test that I went through, he discovered that I had indeed been infected by hepatitis B and that 75% of my liver had been damaged. Ladies and gentlemen, I stand before you operating on just 25% of my liver. What is known in medical terms is I am a patient of acute cirrhosis of the liver, something that is normally associated with people and alcohol, but I am a non-alcoholic. I just felt that if I was able to propagate to the masses of this country through what I had been through personally, then it would be a very noble cause that I was taking up. I also took up the cause of tuberculosis because, unfortunately or fortunately, I'm also a tuberculosis survivor. In the year 2000, I was, quite by accident and by Dr. Barve, diagnosed for tuberculosis in my spine. And we went through a course of medication and I recovered. I want to reiterate here and say strongly that people that are unaware of having themselves diagnosed regularly, religiously, may perhaps, as Dr. Barve had just mentioned in his speech, be carrying a virus which they are unaware of.